Going clean with the Flint water crisis, which a lot of people have heard about it. We moved there July 1st, 2011, to become medical marijuana homeowner growers. Uh, we, me and my ex former spouse husband, were living. But anyway, we were establishing being medical marijuana growers legally. Growers legally. The fucking water, excuse the language, this is my own fucking words. Uh, uh, we were starting up with a new house and had nothing to our names, except for our marijuana plants, hoping to maybe live a dream and become rich. But when everybody's got a free everything and nothing you can make money off of because everybody's already got it, supply and demand. All right. But anyway, we couldn't hardly afford pop like nobody could even back then or then or now. Anyway, we were drinking ice water to get by while we were starting up our new home. Uh, a lot of days, my husband would say, "Get me a glass of water. I'm thirsty," and I'd let the water run for like 2 hours, and it was discolored orange. And I'd say, "Well, maybe." He'd say, "What day is?" And I'd say, "Well, maybe it's Tuesday. Maybe I'm football practice or something." Thursday, give me a glass of ice water. Oh, here's your glass of water. Let it run because we had an older pipe. Older house with our water was shut off because the house was not owned before that for a long time. We thought maybe it was settlements in the water from the water in our household being shut off before we moved in. Until we got the water city, hooked up in our names, then we got it. It was back on in our house and running. We let the water run. I'd let it run for like a half an hour, and I'd hand him the glass, and he'd say it's still discolored. Let it run for 2 more hours. And we thought maybe it was our fault because we bought a older home and the water had been shut off for so long before we moved in. And then it was like that every day. And like I'd say, well, maybe it's Sunday, maybe it's they're having a church service or something somewhere and it's huge. Maybe it's a football day on a Friday and everybody's using the water, and we just kept blaming ourselves. And then we didn't even live there 2 years, and all of a sudden, he would get angry and just say, "Go buy a soda pop," like a 2 liter. So we did. Because he was getting angry every day, an hour, 2 hours letting the water run, and it was always discolored. And then in 2013, I was cleaning our house, and I was had the news on, and it said that we were all poisoned by the water and everything like that. But before that, on the local news, they were saying that we get our water from Detroit, and they wanted to save money and close the dampers on Detroit to give Detroit more water, and so they were going to just but they wouldn't bring up that the water was discolored. They just said they were trying to save money for Detroit and water for them, and they were going to relay it to Flint river to save Detroit's water a little bit and money for Detroit and open up and see if saved Detroit money. So they did, and that was like in 2012 on the local news. And then in 2013, I was cleaning house, and they came over the news, TV news, and said, "Do not drink the water." And they said we're being poisoned or whatever because of whatever. I think they said because they moved the water to Flint. And I turned off the TV and I looked at my husband and I said, "I told you we should have never moved here." Dave Matthews from 1997, that song, "Don't Drink the Water's" actress, just because I don't like to show too much emotions because I'm schizophrenic and just wanted to say, that somebody jinxed us, that Eminem and Kid Rock are after me. And so Dave Matthews, "Don't Drink the Water" from 1997 song. And I was just being, strong and not crying like a little baby, hoping that God will fall $1 million round planet in front of my face and I become a millionaire and perfect and beautiful. So I sitting there crying, waiting for the good Lord to, I don't know, save me from something that everyday people have to go through, life and death and taxes, right? And beatings if you get in trouble, right? So anyway, they said in the news, "Don't drink the water," so we did. And like I was terrified in my mind for like a week or two in that night because I thought, why was my skin going to fall off in the middle of the night? I mean, like in the 12 hours, I'm going to die like a Romeo and Juliet, like lead poison. It was kind of terrifying for like a week or two. But then after a week or two, and even for a schizophrenic, it was kind of terrifying. But then after like, I don't know, a week, I realized that, we're not dead yet and we've been drinking all this time. And anyway, but before that though, I got sick from drinking the water because I was drinking coffee to save on pot money, and I got super super sick. I was throwing up like 100 times a night. And my husband just kept saying it was your nerves, your nerves. So I went to, but it was like 2012. We were drinking coffee to save on soda pop because everything expensive back then and now. And I got really super sick. I was throwing up like 12 times a night. And my husband said, it's just your nerves because you're schizophrenic. It's probably just your nerves and all that coffee you drink because, and this was 2012, because you're schizophrenic and you're just nerved up because you're schizophrenic. We have no money and shit like people didn't have then and don't now. And anyway, so I went to a doctor because I have a Advantage plan and Medicaid or whatever for my mental disability or anyway. And they put me under. They did like, it was kind of like a colonoscopy or whatever, like a gas mask, but I do surgery, and they put me under, and they stuck a camera in between my guts and my intestines and everything. They said the next day, they said you had to come back, and they said your test results like a week later came back, and I said what are they? They said negative, but they said you still got to come in and hear it from us. And two foreign doctors, whatever, that always are at the VAs or whatever, came in and started giggling and said, you fine, leave, like they are, like, you know what I'm saying? But they're doctors, they're pretty damn smart, and they know their stuff, you know what I'm saying? They're not stupid, and they're here legally, and they're pretty damn smart, and they know their stuff. But two foreign doctors came in because that's just their policy. You have to come in to get your results read to make sure you know. But they were standing outside, two older foreign doctors laughing and saying, you fine. So I was fine. But then 2013, they announced that, don't drink the water. And then after that, but anyway, I believe in my head that all the trees, or not all trees, but anyway, whoever's running the water plant, like when I had former jobs of janitory places and a hospital or nursing homes and rest areas and stuff like that, and rest areas, and also a janitor personal business that a woman owned from the courthouse. A lot of nursing homes, 2 nursing homes or whatever, and janitor jobs, and hospitals or whatever. When you have your mop bucket and go into your janitor's personal closet while you're employed there at the time, they have a pipe going into the wall that renders in the bleach and everything automatically into the mop bucket that supplies the control of chemicals or soaps in your mop bucket, so there's not waste. I've worked in other places years before that where they just gave you bottles of bleach and you could dump in however much you want. Some people steal bottles to take home to sell to their friends, and others, some girls or men, just use extra so their halls and work smells good and shows that they care about their work while they're employed there. But a lot of janitors, hospitals, and nursing homes, places, go to mixing their own chemicals in that tube in your janitor's closet, where you're forced to only fill up so much so there's not extra chemicals and soap lost wherever it may meet in lead. And so whoever was working, in my mind, later on after the water crisis, I realized whoever was working at the water facility treatment plant just wasn't hitting the right button. And that's, in my mind, I've never worked at a water treatment facility center or whatever, but whoever was doing that wasn't hitting the chemical button the whole time. And that was the problem. And then years later, the federal government, I don't know, whoever in Flint, the federal government awarded Flint money in 2018, that money, $250,000 or whatever, for the people and the families in 2018 or 19, like $250,000 for the water treatment being fined for that dude all those years, even when we moved there, not hitting the right button. You know what I'm saying? To clean the water. And in my mind, and everybody until 2018, from 2013 to 2018, kept saying that so many cousins and friends and relatives from other cities and states use your mailbox and then move out. You know what I'm saying? Become like family roommates, then move out. They weren't the ones that really deserved the money, and there was all small talk at the gas stations and everything else until 2013. And we never dreamed we'd get the money, because nobody gets nothing for free. But in 2018, the federal government awarded the city of Flint, Michigan, that money because it was the water treatment had to be. I didn't, it had to have been that they found it was like a ticket citation by the federal government, in my mind, towards that water treatment plant because that dude wasn't hitting the right chemical button to press clean, and that's why everybody's water was screwed up, in my mind. And the federal government awarded those people that money in 2018 and 2000 or whatever, and they have the money. They just won't dispute it or disperse it. But the meantime, in between then, the small talk at the local gas stations or whatever from families or friends or whatever in the streets or local gas stations or Walmart, small talk was so many people from out of cities, families, uncles, friends or whatever come in and a roommate or a staying guest in your property and use your mailbox for a couple years or a couple months don't deserve that money. And we didn't think we'd ever get the money. And everybody always thought if anybody got the money, it was the kids in the high schools or the elementary schools that had to be forced to drink the water, that couldn't just tell mom and dad, yeah, I'm taking my breast and my man a beard and getting an apartment, a man-made to myself because they're underage and couldn't leave because they're under their parents' supervision. And there's only a few small schools in that town. And that was small talk that if anybody deserved it, it should be those kids. But everybody knows kids in these days would move to a foreign country with that kind of money, take an airplane ride because they can speak different languages and get a public intox in a foreign country. If what they tell on Vice channel is true, go to a foreign country, get a public intox in a public foreign country. Even if you get a public intox on Vice channel, they would show on TV that if you got a public intox, they don't take kindly to that because you're in a foreign country and you can't get a lawyer. You cannot get a lawyer from the United States, and they keep you there for 40 years and all that and all that and all that. But anyway, those people, those kids, and I met one of the kids, not the kid, but it's her mom, the child's mom, at one of the places I get my medicine, and it did kill people. I met one of the moms at where I got my medicine for my mental illness, and her daughter was like one of the 4 children that died because they were poor, and she kept making her daughter drink the water, and probably just kept thinking it was old Rust well water because they couldn't afford it. And the girl had Legionnaire's disease, and she was there to get her daughter's medicine, and we were just in the lobby small talking. And I know a lot of medicines, and she was naming off medicines I didn't even know. And her daughter had Legionnaire's disease, and 4 of the children, I think, died. And her child was one that lived, because this was later, like in 2000, I don't know, 17 and a half or something, or 2016, 2017. And she was saying that her daughter almost had like battery acid, like measles and mumps and like whooping cough all over her skin. And in her lungs, in her skin, and almost died of Legionnaire's disease, and still has complications to this day, like not to make fun of, but physically deformed. You know what I'm saying? With like there was like 4 out of the 13 kids that almost died. 2 or 4 of them did die, and her daughter was like one that lived. That was seriously badly wounded, like pus marks and everything on her skin, called Legionnaire's disease. And 4 of the kids died. I don't know. That's the way I feel about it, or that's what happened. But I understand it's hard to divide up all that money between all those people, and you never know whose mailboxes was in who. But those kids in those schools, like small talk, their families deserved that money. They were underage and couldn't tell mom and dad. All the kids that were underage that attended the 2 schools or 3 schools in that city, they deserve that money, the families and the kids. $250,000, I know it's a lot, but they're awarded like a traffic citation from the police to the families, or to the city, and the city needs to handle their infractions, you know what I'm saying, to those families who deserve it, the children and their parents. But the kids really need more but I understand that giving a 19 or a 22-year-old that kind of money is crazy, but it doesn't matter. The city, the water filtration plant, got ordered a citation for not doing their job. Not hitting the clean button for all those years in the city treatment plant. That's what they're there to do. Not pretend like they're sitting at home or whatever. That's my take on it, man. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't, yeah.